The new Pope, Pope Leo XIV, was apprehensive of the decline in Christian population. And so, in his first address to the world, he urged Catholics to be desperate in their drive for the faith. Of course, the Christian faith has been declining since more than a century. In the past, Christianity was the order of the day in the Western world, but it started to decline. And the church could not but feel it. The church's hierarchy. The church's hierarchy could not but feel it. When churches were turned into hospitals, clinics, vocation centers, because the congregation vanished. Only the priest or pastor saw himself in the church. No congregation. That was the level of decline. When church buildings were turned into hospitals, clinics, vocation centers, and so on. Up to recent times, or even in our times, such experiences are still feasible in some Western countries and even in Nigeria. But let me put it this way, that in those days when Christianity started declining in the Western world, all hope was put on Africa, that Africa was going to become the center of Christianity. But if you look out to what is happening now, you find that the dividing line between the Western world and Africa is getting close, in the sense that many Africans are also coming to deregister themselves from churches. The Christianity is also suffering from decline in recent times. Churches are not as full as used to be. Not everybody now think that if they don't go to church, they are doomed, as it used to be. Yes, there will always be, there have always been, and there will always be gullible people who will never know any difference between the past and the present, who may even be mourning the fact that people are losing the faith. And they will be lay people, not clerical class. If you go to Europe and America, you still find extremely gullible people who still believe in everything that the church expects them to believe. But for the overwhelming majority, no more like that. When I was in Europe, 1981 to 1984, my family friend, or let me say, in the family of my friend, in the family of my family friend, only the mother, only the wife, and her last child were going to church. The husband and the grown-ups were not going to church. In America too, in the 1990s, you'll find that most people don't go to church. The church came to realize that only aging people were coming to church. Those who wanted to be buried by the church were coming to church mostly. Most churches were not with rousing crowd. People were there. You can count 100, well, I don't know, in some instances, few instances, but the towns are full of people who don't remember church, who don't care about church. That's the fact of the case. And the trend has not stopped. How do you want to convince people that Jesus came and took away sins when sins is tugging at people? That's part of the problem. How do you convince people Jesus took away sin when sin is tugging at people? People feel it, people experience it in their own life and in the society at large. And when you go to Islam, the story is not different. Questions are arising whether God brought down any book from heaven to anybody. And as I keep saying, these books, whether you talk of the Bible or the Quran, are full of religious politics. Started in Judaism, with Judaism adopted by Christianity and by Islam. God made covenant with human beings, and there's no people who don't know about it. That if you do the will of God, He will bless you. If you don't do His will, you are on your own. So that God established a covenant with Abraham, it's not with Abraham, it's with humanity. Because this thing you are talking about, and that is why there's no people who don't know that you must do God's will if you want to be blessed by God. Because that's the basic testament. When Christians come up with their New Testament, I say, which one is New Testament? Which one? Because nothing can surpass what you are calling Old Testament. That testament is not old. It is the testament. Established with humanity. Love God, fear God, do the will of God and be blessed by God. Or don't fear God, don't do His will and be on your own. So it was not a covenant with Abraham. Beyond deception. That's deception. It was not with Abraham. It's with everybody created by God. And so Christianity, both religions had used wars, crusade wars or jihadist wars to push themselves down the throats of people. And now people are waking up to the real life and abandoning both Christianity and Islam. And that is why the two religions are rivals. The two of them want to gain the whole world in the name of God. And so they rival each other. But when they see themselves endangered, they call for unity to promote their interest, their objective of remaining relevant. But come to Nigeria and tell me the relevance of Christianity and Islam with the situation, with the political and the economic situation of Nigeria, ruled by Muslims and Christians. So, what is Christianity and Islam selling? Faith. Faith to replace human reasoning, to replace objectivity, to replace critical thinking, forgetting that human reasoning thinking faculty is divine endowment to humanity, to have a sense of judgment of what is right and what is wrong, of what is true and not true. So, what is Christianity and Islam selling? Faith. So I wasn't surprised when I saw that some Muslims went to Rome to solidarize with the new Pope, because the two religions have nothing to sell than faith, and the two are waking to the reality that human beings are becoming repulsive to the type of faith that they are marketing. The falsehood that you have to take God to some people somewhere. I haven't said that God is omnipresent. So, where are you taking God to? Knowledge of God. Which knowledge of God? Which knowledge of God? What do you know about God that other people don't know? I have challenged Christians and Muslims to a television debate about how Christianity, neither Christianity nor Islam nor both of them are superior to African traditional religion in knowledge of God. I want to challenge them, even on the point of human sacrifice. Which one is more guilty of human sacrifice between African traditional religion and then Christianity/Islam? Which one is more guilty of human sacrifice? Let us have it as a television debate, and I will tell you. Under which religion do people fear better? Under Christianity and Islam or under African traditional religion? Whether you talk of morality, concern for neighbor, fear of God, what are Christianity and Islam selling? So, the fear of the Pope about decline in Christian faith is also true of Islamic faith. And humanity must be conscious of the need to prevent faith from taking over human life. To lose our sense in respect of critical thinking and objective reality of life, so that we can be subjected to people seeking their own earthly kingdoms. Because you go to Christianity, you find earthly kingdoms created by Christians and Muslims. You go to Islam, you find earthly kingdoms created by Muslims in the name of God. Our world, no peace, no progress, and you don't want your faith to decline. Faith. What is faith? Belief. In what? In what you want them to believe. What Muslims want them to believe. What Christians want them to believe. There's only one thing to believe: the Supreme Being. There's only one thing to the Supreme Being, the Creator of heaven and earth. And there's only one way that leads to heaven, way of truthfulness, that you tell truth. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody can come to the Father except through me, except through the truth, through honesty of purpose, through sincerity of purpose. That is what Jesus is saying. He's not talking about his own person, but that he represents truthfulness, honesty of purpose. That's what he's saying. But Christians turn it to their own advantage to draw people to their religion. Muslims also have way of turning people to their own religion. But at the end of the day, you see the clerical class in wealth and common people in abject poverty. Christianity and Islam have taken over the political and economic life of peoples, even when the constitution is secular. That is the danger, the plague, and humanity must not slumber. Karl Marx says religion is the opium of the people. Which religion did he know other than Christianity? And whatever you say about Christianity applies to Islam in terms of trying to take over people's life using the name of God. The two religions are divisive in the sense that they are rivals. Each wants to gain the whole world in the name of God. Within themselves, they are divisive. So, what do you gain from Christianity and Islam other than human division, human exploitation?